Oh yes, a pleasant, blessed day to all of us. Today is the 22nd of the 4th month, April 2019. Oh, sorry, 2020. Right. And it's just about 7 minutes before 3 hours of 7 o'clock. I am calypsonian disciple Umar Muhammed, Umar. I'm known by many names, uplifting names. But this morning, as I awoke this morning, my mind started to travel. And I found myself using the popular saying, patience is virtue. When I used to go to school, there was a book that became my companion. And it is truly a companion of the student. The name of the book, Student Companion. A very, very important book. And in a part of this book, we have things like proverbs and, popular sayings. And these popular sayings are with us today. And if one should really take into consideration these popular sayings, this phone is always blocking me, say I can't talk. And you see, last time I was talking, I told my phone to have some manners when I'm speaking. But here it is, not having any manners. And we are home. So you see what I mean when I say popular saying? Manners begin at home. I'll have to get my phone out of the way. Yeah. These popular sayings can develop us mentally, spiritually, physically, and otherwise. Now, to start to get in the topic this morning, we all have a purpose for being on this earth. Excuse me, I have to get somebody to fix this phone. It only reacts like that when I'm home, when I'm in the road. Yeah, so these popular saying, there's a word, purpose or reason. The purpose is, why are we here? How are we spending our time in school? Because this world is a school. Our parents, our heavenly parents, mother and father, the parents of our soul, send us to school. And we have to go from first stage to the highest stage. Every one of us came to school. For he became a high priest in the order of Melchizedek. We all have to become high priests in the order of this school, where there are so many classes, there are so many bad friends, good friends, obstacles in our lives. Yes, sometimes the teacher is at fault. And this is a school of learning. We have to make sure that we go back with our credentials, with our colors flying high, flying colors, as they usually say. So the purpose is important. The reason is important. But there is a saying, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. Yes, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch only if the apples remain in the bunch. Only if the bunch remains as a bunch. For that, one bad apple needs to communicate, to touch, to connect to other apples, to pass on the rottenness of the bad apple. So one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch, yes, but the whole bunch must try to avoid it. And how do you avoid it? You know, there's a saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Right? But the apples are already joined up. And what we are trying to do is to avoid that one bad apple from beating us all. So therefore, we have to disunite ourselves. So from there we get into the saying that unity is strength. Yes, unity is strength, but not with this one bad apple around the coronavirus COVID-19. That's the one bad apple. And as we have already seen, it has spoiled the whole bunch here, there, and everywhere. So what are we to do to avoid the one bad apple from spoiling the whole bunch? We have to distance ourselves. We have to break away. Each and every one of us have to stop the unity. In this case, unity is not strength. Unity is to divide. The one bad apple will be able to spoil the whole bunch if we unite, because a bunch is obstacles coming together. That is referred to as a bunch. It could never be a bunch when it is divided. You have a bunch of fig, you know how a bunch of fig is, right? You know what a bunch of apple is. So therefore, it is necessary that we go against the popular saying that unity is strength and divide ourselves away from one another, distance spacing, so that that one bad apple cannot touch or communicate with any of one of us. And the reason why we have to divide ourselves, because with the one bad apple amongst us, we are weak. Yeah? Unity is strength, but every chain is as strong as its weakest link. So therefore, not to be as strong as the one bad apple, we divide ourselves. Didn't they say that it is wrong to divide and rule? Yes, it is wrong to divide and rule. Now, oftentimes people say to divide and rule, they say that's the system of the devil, and to divide and rule is not good. But to divide and rule, in this case, it is good. For if we didn't divide ourselves away from the one bad apple, you know what will happen. If we do not distance ourselves from one another today, you know definitely what will happen. Because that one bad apple is lurking, it is moving quietly, deceitfully, slyly amongst us. And we just cannot see the one bad apple. It multiplies, because when one bad apple spoils a whole bunch, it means to say that it will contaminate one from one to another. So it's been multiplying its rottenness, its virus, its bacteria. So as we become divided, in this case, yes, to divide and rule is necessary. Because when we divide ourselves, we will be able to rule the situation, to overcome the situation. Our Prime Minister won't be able to rule this nation if we remain in that one bunch with the bad apple. We will not be able to rule ourselves if we had remained in that one bunch. Because you cannot rule yourself when you are sick and you are dying and you are sneezing and coughing and have a virus or a disease that is about to destroy you. No. So you see, to divide and rule is necessary in this case. All because of the one bad apple. And when we rule as individuals, we do not rule which is outside of us. If we have to rule which is outside of us, it's only to follow the rules that divide us so that we can start ruling the inside of us. As I said before, if you are stricken with some sort of sickness, virus, you just cannot rule yourself. And in order to rule yourself, to be strong, you have to get away from that link, that weakest link. Every chain is as strong as its weakest link, but we don't want that kind of strength. We want the strength that divides us and rules us, so that we, in our individual strengths, can maintain ourselves and rule ourselves, discipline ourselves to obey the rules that divide and rule in order for us to maintain our strength and to continue to let the one bad apple rotten on its own, so that when we come back as a bunch, the one bad apple will not be there. And that means that we have to stay home. Why? Because manners begin at home. And where is your home? Whenever there is the call to divide, you have to rule. Not what is outside of you, but you have to rule you have to rule from your home, from inside of you. You have to think. You have to use your senses. And furthermore, if you can, apart from your five senses, your sixth sense, the pineal gland, which is situated right here. So, as I'm saying that these popular sayings are very, very important to us. It is very important to our purpose, and we can use them accordingly. Not because they say to divide and people use divide and rule in a negative way. It must be all time negative. Because sometimes manners do not begin at home. That is it. Because what you see on the outside is also an experience for you. To entertain it on the inside, in that case, manners began from the outside and it's in the inside, you know. And when it goes on the inside, you make good use of it. So if you see somebody having manners on the outside and you forgot your manners home, know for sure that your manners didn't begin at home. Your manners began on the outside. You forget to say good morning, you forget to say excuse me, and you forgot that you have manners at home, right? And somebody say, but you didn't say good morning. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say good morning. I forgot to say excuse me. So your manners in that instance had begun on the outside. You entertain your manners home, or you bring it home and you say, listen, I forgot, but I have you home now, right? I must always remember to use you. So as I'm showing you, manners does not always begin at home. Some people leave home without their manners. It didn't begin at home for them. So as I'm saying, some of these things, while we can use them positively, we can use them as advantageously according to the situation. So to divide and rule, yes, we are divided now. And as being divided, we have to rule the strength that we have in ourselves. Not the strength of the rotten apple, not the strength of the weakest link, but the strength of the link within ourselves to the Most High. That is what you have to do now. So when we entertain the positive forces from the atmosphere around us, we see the birds, we see the bees, and we take an example from them. We pray, just like how the animals get up in the morning, they whistle, they pray, and so on. It's dawning and the birds are whistling, the sun is coming up, and everything is getting activated because the heat is coming. And heat activates. Heat activates life. So we have to look into this thing to divide and rule. One bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Every chain is as strong as its weakest link. Unity is strength. Manners begin at home, and many others. Patience is virtue, and so on. So all these popular saying falls into our situation today with the coronavirus. And it's only people who are ignorant and stupid and talk a lot of dirty shit and politicizing this thing and getting on in such ridiculous way. I would like you all who are getting on like that to go back. Go back to some of these popular saying. You know what in sweet in goat mouth, the sour in the bam bam. Yeah, because if you want things to be so sweet, so that you don't have the patience which is virtue, it will sour in your bam bam. Popular sayings, man. I mean to say, if many of us will go back to these sayings and study them and activate ourselves, this world will be a better world. So it is necessary. It is necessary that we divide and rule ourselves against the one bad apple that will spoil the whole bunch. Otherwise, every link of the whole bunch, every link in the chain, otherwise this chain will be just as strong as its weakest link. So remember, when we are divided and when we are home, and even though we are home, we distance ourselves, we take caution, look before you leap. These things, popular sayings, are necessary to carry us through this calamity, this worldwide calamity, this pandemic, so that slow and steady wins the race. Let us not be. You know, some of us, we just cannot do without sacrifice. We do not want to understand what is sacrifice. We do not want to understand what is patience. So how do we expect to get the virtue? Like stupid fools. Yes, open up right away. Open up. Because we hurry to go online, we hurry to go on fed, we hurry to go and say God is a tree. Nothing happened to you. Just a little bit of people now. You know, nothing happening. Yeah. Look how much thousands of people all over the world. We like this kind of thing. Right? And then should it begin to get worse, you know what we'll do? Here what we'll do. We'll sit down and we'll study all kind of nonsense. And we'll blame the Prime Minister. Oh, what did this, what did that? We blame the PNM. As they are doing outside. You see all the Chinese blaming the Africans now? And in India or Pakistan, they're blaming the Muslim. No, we're going to become like each other's scapegoat. We're going to be pointing fingers, and we won't be pointing fingers at ourselves, because no, we're not pointing fingers at ourselves. Again, we get into a popular saying, who the cap fits, let them wear it. And this cap that will fit, if we are so hurried to get out of this thing, who will wear it? But those who are about, those who are infected. Because a hurry bird builds a bad nest. Another one of the popular saying. So in order for us to rebuild this nest, in order for us to come back, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the ending. A good beginning makes a bad ending, a bad beginning makes a good, and so on and so on. Let us all be patient. I'm not saying that we won't have carnival next year. I'm a calypsonian, I would like them to have carnival. But when I check the situation, and when I check the mentality of the people, and it seems as though it's a human mentality all over the world, because in India, people are being beaten out of the road. In certain places, in one place, I think in the Philippines, the government decided to shoot people if they don't want to obey, because if you don't obey, you are shooting people also. Remember that. If the government here decides to shoot people, like the government is a criminal government, blah, 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 but you are shooting people too when you disobey. Because when you disobey and you become infected, you are shooting people with a bullet that none of us can see. You are shooting people, and we don't know you will be shooting people. We don't know, we cannot see the bullet. Of course, there is no bullet that you can see. But this bullet is so small, and this gun is so invisible, that when you start to shoot people, we don't know if you have it. Excepting that you declare that you have it, and you go under, you admit yourself under quarantine, right? But you will be shooting people. You will be, according to the song, killing me softly with his song. Killing me softly with his song. Yeah, you're killing people softly, because they're not hearing bow, bow, bow. But every time you sneeze, every time you cough, or even somebody touch you, or your hand get contaminated and touch somebody, you will be killing people. So my people, Trinidad and Tobago, let's be cautious. Let's not do like if, well, everything gonna be all right. Don't worry, everything gonna be all right, right? Let's just pray. Let's just be patient. Let's divide ourselves away, keep spacing out, but let us not space out the Almighty between us and ourselves, and let us think and what have you, so that we can be truly happy, so that with patience we can use our foresight to say, well, next 3 months we're going to declare everything all right, or let's be cautious, let's wait and see, because as I said before, we don't want to say everything is all right and then it comes back on us. It is happening in certain places. You know what we will be doing? What will become of us? What we will say to ourselves? We have spun top in mud, as if spinning top in mud, because all the efforts we have made to keep this thing away, here it is that we just threw up and somebody had it and we didn't know they had it. Because we freed up quickly, everybody bounced, touch one another. And here it is, we are back to number one, which will send this country in a very deplorable, our economy will be in a very deplorable condition. And we'll have to be watching one another. Tunisia are like that, we blaming one another. Oh, and the opposition will, if we were ruling, that wouldn't be, but if they were ruling, who knows how they will think, because every government has a weakness. Every government has a fall. Every government has a strength and its weakness. And while the PNN government may have a strength in one way, there is its weakness in the other way. While the UNC government may have their strength in one way, they have their weakness in the other way. So then why it is that everybody is want to point fingers and if I was there and this shouldn't be and go for a lawyer and it's human stupidity. So my people are saying have a good day and let us not count our chickens before their hearts. Amen.